Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, depending on where you are in the world. I'm Nathan Garrett coming at you from Zwift Community Live. Dave Tolles with me, too, as well, coming out of Colorado. And the good morning. We just got done with NRS series out of Australia, and now we're heading on over to Redlands Crit. This is a pretty amazing weekend out on Zwift for Pro Conti racing, Dave. And your microphone.
Sorry, there. It's an honor to follow up Pat Shaw and Matt Keenan out of Australia. They're doing a great job down there with their National Racing Series. But Nathan, this is it, where legends are born. The Redlands Bicycle Classic since 1985. Nathan, this is the longest running American stage race. It's in a conversation with some events like Gila and Cascade, but this is the granddaddy in the United States now. We are really excited about this. I'm nervous, to tell you the truth. We have lined up an incredible group of riders. We've got the defending champion from last year, Corey Lockwood, is racing. We've got the 2018 overall winner, Thomas Rivard. He's here as well. We have the Bose overall winner, Brendan Rim, is with us. This is a very strong field. Nathan, very unique opportunity here. I think this is the first time in North America we've had a chance to really meld together the in real life event like Redlands and some of our superstars. There's a lot of big names out here that come into the sport now, racing a lot of esports or Zwift racing. So it's going to be like guys like Kevin Brouchard Hall, Adam Carr with the Skyline team. But the number one ranked rider in esports is with us, Holden Corneau. We'll certainly be watching out for him. Nathan, I am stoked. Let's get it on. The guys are already out on the course. I mentioned Brendan Rim. He's on that Hincapi Leomo team. And this is our peloton. So it's really just a little less than 60 riders, 2 stages here. This is going to be replicating out on the world of Zwift, the Criterium. I'll throw it back to you, Nathan.
Yeah, we actually have one of the Williams brothers here from Legion as they come into the first little climb on the day. As you can see here, they're going to be heading through this little KOM about 6. They're going to be heading through it 16 times, 16 total laps out here, out on course for the first of 2 stages in the crit race out on the downtown Dolphin. And heading toward the front here, it does look like Williams is taking over. Gardner here, very experienced esports rider, as well as Eric Hill, one of the organizer of this from Project Echelon. Big shout out to Project Echelon, who did help put all of this together as he makes his way to the front end. 340 watts here coming from Hill. Davis now to the front as well with KBS Elite taking over. You can see those indoor specialist kits in game. Now, they did have a recent change up. They're now Saris Pros Closet, actually, presented by Pros Closet. So it's interesting to see the change up there. It will probably take some time to have any changes in-game as far as the kit goes, but I did just get an announcement about that just recently. It's really interesting to see the landscape change when it comes to this, to the reality of the esports world. And it's the one team that was invited amongst the esports teams to this otherwise only Pro Conti North American situation. 24 laps to go as we finish up our first.
Okay, so Nathan, again, let's talk about, so there's a lot of Williams on that Legion team. Tyler Williams is an individual rider. He's not one of the brothers. There's actually 3. Yeah, it's really no. Well, how would anyone? Yeah, no, don't worry, because Corey Williams is here. He's the guy that you'll see as nation's #1 beast. That's his call or his handle out here. He's the California state champion. He's one of the most dangerous sprinters in North America today. Both he and his brother Justin, who's not in this race. So noting that it's Corey that we have here, just as dangerous. Either way, they are absolutely podium contenders at any race that they start. But this is going to be Corey, the California state champion. We're talking about with his teammate Tyler Williams, who comes down from Northern California. That's all on the Legion team. That also has Corey Lockwood out of Bakersfield, California, and the 2018 winner out of Indianapolis, Indiana, Thomas Rivard. This team is stacked when you talk about Legion. So that's one of the in real life teams that would have been very interesting to watch racing at this year's event. So let's keep working down through that list, because Lance Hayden is here. Cormac McGeough and Sam. So Lance Hayden also on Legion. It's amazing how many great guys they have. But Cormac McGeough, Sam Boardman, Kent Ross, that's the Wildlife Generation team. Sam Boardman is one of, he raced Tour of California last year. He was a big part of the U.S. national team that raced and helped Travis McCabe to that second place on stage 1, and is one of the most talented stage racers in North America today, riding under Danny Van Out in that Wildlife Generation team. So, boy, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to put 7 pounds of racing into a 5-pound bag right now, Nathan. I'll throw it back to you in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Team California here now with C. Hall now making his way to the front. It looks like Barty is there as well. Now, I did have a little bit of chatter with Eric Hill, one of the race organizer with Project Echelon beforehand. He did say that Corey Williams was specifically saying, I'm not that interested in the road race, but how about we do that crit course? And I think there's a reason for that, and we'll have to see if that talent ends up playing, though, a part in this race out here today. Being out on Zwift, it's going to be interesting to see if he did have any kind of experience with the game. If he's been, I did see a couple of tweets about being out there, getting some practice in. It's going to be important here out on the day that practice was happening, because this course, it's very tricky. The timings on this course to try and get that sprint correct, it's going to be interesting to see if he can give us a show like he's shown us many times on those GoPros. We do see him doing those race reviews with. So cool to see out on course here. Now to the front, it does look like it is going to be Saris Pros Classic now taking over that esports team with lots of jerseys on the front there. They are definitely controlling the race, it looks like, at this point. And I think it's kind of, I don't know about calm down at 5.6 watts per kilogram, but it doesn't look like it's stretching out at all at this point, Dave.
Yeah, interesting. It really does look exactly what the Redlands Classic would look like, Nathan, no doubt. I want to add now, Brandon Rim, he's the Beauce winner. Beauce would be the Redlands of Canada at this point, the biggest stage race that they have up there, and certainly a huge talent on that Hincapie team. So, but no one, Nathan, quite has the horsepower or the depth that when you talk about Legion, this team, Legion of LA. It's a team that the Williams brothers put together. They've been able to recruit top talent without any doubt. It's a really cool project that's now just turned into a powerhouse squad, Project Echelon. As you mentioned, Eric Hill doing a great job. He helped organize this whole race. Eric, really appreciate you putting all the pieces together as we're going to be watching. That is so cool to see. Nathan, I heard you talking about the Saris TPC team, the Pros Closet is what the TPC stands for. Nathan, for folks that are just watching, this certainly looks like a moment, doesn't it? You can look over there on the right-hand side of your screen and see the watts per kilo. That's always key information to watch for. We'll keep an eye on the number of laps to go. We started with 16. And Nathan, I have each lap at about 1.2 miles each. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, it's
Look at
about
this,
right.
though. They're going. They're going
right.
here.
Indoor, the Pros Closet team here now, Saris Pros Closet, has really had a coordinated effort there. I don't know if you saw that just a moment ago, but there was about 5 riders who all went up over the top of the KOM, middle of the lap there, with a solid 7 watts per kilogram. They really stretched things out, and look at how it starts to snap back there. They are very organized. They're showing up to definitely put the herd on here with the in real life pros. 22 laps to go, and we already start to see a split with some inattentive riders. They're not knowing maybe how to ride those little undulations on the back end of the course. That is one of the most dangerous sections, because those little bumps there can really cause some speed differentiation very quickly with the big burst of speed or slow down, big burst of speed or slow down. People can ride that like a roller coaster. If you roller coaster it right, you can cause these splits. Look at the back of the pack. Mayhem right now. People are suffering right now after just 3 laps out on course.
Yeah, welcome to downtown Pain City, gentlemen. It is on like Donkey Kong. We're only a couple of laps in now, Nathan. There's going to be some guys here that have extensive esports experience. I think Holden Cornell would be a rider that you talk about. There's a great article. Boy, in the last 45 days, we've seen an incredible number of people picking up, getting out on Zwift and falling in love with esports racing, and this is just a great example here. Thanks for joining us out there, everybody. We're only 4.1 miles into what is stage 1 of the virtual Redlands Classic here this year. Again, this is where legends are born. We have a couple defending champions in our field. We have a lot of strong riders coming from not only around the country, but really from around the world, Nathan. Teams like, I want to shout out the Gateway Development Squad. Lionel Mott on that team is going to be a rider to watch for. He's staying right up in the mix here. I see his name actually right there. Now, Kevin Bouchard Hall, also one of, wouldn't you say, Nathan, one of the most experienced Zwift esports racers out there?
100%, one of the most experienced, and definitely knows how to float the pack. And I think he's going to be one to watch as far as being very savvy out there today and knowing when to go, where to go, and how to cover every single move. Now, we do see Bouchard Hall here. He is making his way through the pack as sitting about, it looks like midway, about 40th place or so, as at the front again. Indoor Specialist, Pros Closet, we're going to have to swap that name up. It's been with us for quite a long time, but you can see them really they continue to control this race at the front. It's just over and over again pressing the pace here, as you can see. So interesting to see how they are really putting a lot of effort out up front, which is an interesting tactic. I was expecting things to be a little bit calmer, but I think they've shown up just to put some TV time maybe, or perhaps maybe think that, look, we can put the hurt on. We're not afraid to do so. This is our landscape. Now you're in our arena. Welcome to our toy box. And they're starting to throw all the toys around, it looks like, and some sand in the face as they put the pressure on at the front.
Yeah, Nathan, I couldn't agree more. There's got to be some pride with the guys who have been esports racing for years here. There's a lot to this. It's definitely a black magic element to it at times, but it really does come down to turning yourself into a wattage cottage out there as well. You know, Nathan, I should add that another one of the Sarah's Pros Closet riders to watch is David Talbot. Haven't mentioned him yet. He's been our USA Cycling events that we've been doing weekly. It's a fun series. I'd recommend everybody jump in. We've got a category for all levels of racers. It's all done by your watts per kilo. You can find a group that you'll have fun with, but these guys, it's no fun at all. Picking up Lance Hayden now. This young man out of San Luis Obispo, California, spent a lot of time up in Bend, Oregon as well. Super talented rider. He's been on our Worlds teams multiple times. He's been part of the Evolo team. He's now moving over to Legion this year, but a journeyman. He's only, I'm going to guess, Lance is probably 23 years old right now, maybe 24, but a lot of international experience already. Definitely one of the reasons why Legion is going to be so hard to beat. They not only have on paper one of the fastest guys in America today, that being Corey Williams. He's got the strongest team around him as well. That's a potent combination, Nathan, as we look at riders continuing to push here on the front. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we should be racing for about an hour here before this one is done and dusted. And this is a very typical look here. The plot line, Nathan, plays out very dramatically early. The first 5 minutes of any esports race is going to be brutal. These guys absolutely made it that way. We're about 10 minutes in now, and things starting to find their rhythm here. I don't think you're going to see another split. Nathan, you tell me. That split was pretty dramatic. Those guys don't want to go through that again, do they?
No, yeah, I think you're right there that anybody who knew how to cover any moves at this point are kind of going to get into that rhythm. Anybody who was not familiar with the course and didn't get split off, they're going to start saying, okay, this is how this works through these sections. Most likely get a feel for it and get a feel for the draft and know when the punches are coming, when to relax. Now, that also creates some opportunity, though, for some other riders who may want to throw some tricks out there. They got a couple tricks up their sleeve, because a lot of times through this section, this little roundabout that we go through before the finish line, this section right here tends to calm down. The pack tends to settle in a little bit, wait for the next time up and over the top of the KOM. But I think this section a lot of times can see a flyer go off the front. You do want, if they do that, they're going to want to have a couple go with them, because with such a large pack and so much talent, it's very difficult to go away. They're going to have to send 2, 3, or 4 with a lot of the teams involved, I would think, because a lot of these riders are going to be having a Discord DS, or at least be interacting with each other. I do believe, Eric was telling me that they were doing so. There was a lot of these newer to Zwift Pro teams that are going, wait, there's a thing that we can communicate like a team car, and they're getting really used to it. I have a feeling that you're probably going to have some chatter going on about how the texts are going, or at least using the companion app or some other texting going on in order to say when and who is going to go and who's feeling good.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you still have to make the watts, but these little things all add up, Nathan, that what you're talking about in communication, the ability to communicate. I mean, some of these teams, when you look at it, it's good to see DC Bank is out here, and I also wanted to welcome Doylston Bike Works. They have a great race in Doylston, Pennsylvania, that wraps up our national calendar here every year in the United States, Above and Beyond Cancer Center. I mean, Nathan, a lot of these teams have 6 to 8 riders out here, as you and I use Discord to communicate, and they do too. That's for sure. We've worked with the Tibco SBB women's team doing some really fun volley events where, Discord is a big part of strategy and tactics, and communication is always going to be a big part of racing. Gateway Devo picking up Barty here. I love this team out of St. Louis. Tyler Williams, another one of the Legion riders. Again, you just can't ignore them. But the one team that they're going to have as a thorn in their side is going to be Wildlife Generation. Nathan, that California-based team, to be fair, the first internet bank team had a rider named Stephen Bassett to start the season. He rode for Wildlife Generation as the season got a little bit deeper. As opportunities for him to be in Tour of Utah appeared, and he ended up winning the biggest race that team had last year over in Japan. Stephen Bassett has now moved on to the rally team. He's not in this race, but he's a good example of how teams like First Internet Bank do such a good job. Stephen Bassett wouldn't be on rally now if First Internet hadn't been there to help save his career early in that year. Cormac McGee, one of our favorites, Nathan. This is a guy that we've seen racing week in, week out over the last month and a half since COVID-19 hit. He's an Irishman living in Durango, Colorado, and he's racing at altitude. I always remember that Durango's over 6,000 feet up there, and there's no way around that, Nathan. So another conversation for another day, certainly, when you talk about altitude, because this is a sea-level crit course. And I just saw that Ivan Dominguez, the Cuban Missile, is watching us. He was one of the best finishers in North America through the 2000s. Really cool seeing one of the best Criterium racers in our sports history in North America watching online. Welcome, Ivan.
I believe I've seen Ivan interact with Zwift before. I'm not absolutely positive, but the
it.
missile, I believe, I saw quite a few little posts on, I believe it was Instagram and Facebook, where he was talking about getting out there for some of the sprint jerseys. So good to see him hanging out in the chat. Welcome. We are watching
Former
chat.
Former teammate of Henderson, who's a friend of yours, so you're one degree of separation away, right? Yeah, your contacts.
Me and Henderson are having some fun lately over on Instagram about our different challenges, that's for sure. And so maybe need to get out on a group ride with him as he's throwing down these crazy group rides that I've been watching here as we're watching Schmidt with Gateway Devo. But Henderson's doing these invite everyone he knows in his circles to just hammer down a gun show out on Zwift, it feels like, on Saturdays. So I'm a little scared of him, actually, with the kind of talent that's showing up, to be honest.
Yeah, he turned. Yeah, there's so many microcosms of worlds that have developed out on Zwift with hundreds of thousands of, I mean, it's insane now. There have been days where there have been more than 30,000 people out Zwifting. Eder Frier, the Mexican national, Viva Mexico. Also, we've seen him racing quite a bit and being very active up on the front. He's made his way over from the KHS team. So I saw Ben Schmute earlier. You mentioned him as well. He's an up-and-coming kid, also part of that Gateway Devo team. Used to be Gateway Harley-Davidson. Chris Creed runs that program. He does such a good job. I mean, that was the team that Sepp Kuss rode for when he won a stage, Oak Glen at Redlands, going back, that launched him onto rally, which then moved him into the World Tour. And now he's one of the most respected young riders in the sport today at the very highest level. So that's how you do it. Start with DC Bank or First Internet Bank, and or Gateway, and work your way up. If you've got the talent, you'll find your way.
Real quick here, we are going to start bringing in some of our social media integration. We are seeing the chat coming on in through YouTube as well as Facebook and Twitch. You can go ahead and throw in your comments there, as well as on Twitter. You can @Z Community Live. We can even bring in media if you do have any of the racers in front of you that are watching and you're there with them. You want to post a picture over on Twitter. Twitter's the only place we can bring in media usually. Facebook sometimes, but go ahead and let us know what is going on live there for you. But look in here, we do have a question coming on in. Are there preems? Coming from Paul Harpner. Not in this race specifically, but that is great feedback, and maybe in the future we could have something to heat the race up a little bit there in the racing, as that is definitely something I think that would bring back some of the in real life feeling as well. We're getting some cheering on going on here as well. It looks like Jeremiah Bishop's up in here, and there are now. Jeremiah Bishop says he's throwing $10 down to the next lap. Look at this. Jeremiah Bishop just threw it out there, guys. So next lap, I don't know if anyone's actually going to go for it, but I'll make the call on it. There might not be anything for it, but we'll see if somebody actually happens to go for it or not, just for fun here. But thanks. Good to see you there, Jeremiah, hanging out in the chat over on YouTube. And I'm also seeing a couple
we have
of
an
more.
Attack, Nathan.
Oh, we do have an attack. Brayer. Yeah. Brayer's going Legion off the front. I'm not sure it's going to go anywhere. Just a little punch, but I think that's going to be brought in pretty quick.
Hey, I agree with you, though. One of my favorite guys, Jeremiah Bishop, really cool to see he's watching as we watch this team. Boy, they're clamping down the front of this group and doing an extremely effective job. But here we go. Another ride going to make a run at it. Put your nose out in the wind. I love it. So, Nathan, help me out here. Okay. So we're coming up on 10 miles in. This is going to be 25 total miles, correct? Do I have that right? I had it in 49K earlier, which
it is. Yeah,
more like
49.
A little more.
Yeah, 49K, 25 miles. I mean, 25
Okay.
laps. So you're looking at about 30 miles, I believe it is. I could probably swap
Yeah, I would
it
say
up here.
about 30. Let's say we're about a third of the way in right now, folks, if you're just joining out there. And I see a lot of people jumping in, Nathan. That's really exciting. Again, we're cross pollinating the in real life Redlands with the virtual. This is the Dolphin, downtown Dolphin, we call this circuit. It's very popular, very challenging to race. Corey Lockwood, like Nathan, he won this race on the last stage with the man who went on to become the junior world road champion, Quinn Simmons. It was incredibly exciting as they were able to overhaul the Hagens-Berman team, who, they had some tough luck early in the race. Kevin Vermark, a crash, and they didn't have a lot of riders to begin with. It was really, really exciting. But Bakersfield, California, the home for Corey Lockwood, who is now on the Legion team. He's out here racing. And then Thomas Rivard, I mentioned him earlier as well. The 2018 overall winner is here. It always comes down to that sunset circuit on the final day. And Nathan, we have another day of racing for this field as well. So this is not the entire Redlands. We have a race on Sunday for all of these riders as well. So, but you got it. Himcapi Leomo rider, Janis up on the frontier. But it is Grupo Compacto. All together.
Yeah, we do see moving to the front. You do see this little orange jersey next to Greg here for Project Echelon. That means he has the fastest time on the lap. Fastest time on the lap for the race currently right now. Now, that doesn't really matter. I mean, you can do a certain section as fast as you can. Larson now also holding on to the KOM section here, it looks like. And that's simply for kudos, but maybe in the future could be used for some sort of rewards in the races. We could take a look at the leaderboards here, 1469 that they're pulling over the top. For those of you that are familiar with this course in Zwift and how hard it is to pull a sub 16 even, and they're doing 1469 here from the SARS Pros Closet now. And
these are some strong boys, Nathan.
213 here to get around this
guys.
lap. It's amazing. Echelon now closing out. DC Bank now coming across. This is a break here, it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4 riders. Landis is getting involved here. It looks like Gateway Devo as well as DC Bank. Now Larson trying to go across. Wildlife Generation with Corey McGill backing off now. Williams goes to the front there from Legion there. Freyer as well. This is a move. Will it stick, though? There's so many riders to pull this back.
Look at Wildlife Generation. They're all over the front, so I think that they're gauging this one well. That's going to be Sam Boardman and Cormac McGee and Kent Ross, who just raced in Langkawi and had a 5th place there. So this is a super strong team. They might not have the numbers that Legion has, but they're doing a very good job of controlling this break. It looks like it's going to be cover and kill. But, Nathan, we've got one rider dangling off the front of this group now, but it looks like it's going to all come back together here as we shut that down. So, okay, hit the reset button. But that shows you how dynamic it can be. And there you go, up and over. Counterattack here. Welcome to downtown Payne City, gentlemen. This is going to be brutal. If they want to keep racing this way, Nathan, there's going to be guys in the gutters for the next half hour.
Yeah, and you do see a rider. It looks like, is that a rider going off to the front or a lapped rider? I'm going to double check here real quickly, and it is a rider being lapped. It looks like just trying to get the pace. So if you're being lapped, you need to get the pace up, and it is going to be Gainish there coming from Kelly Benefit now, 6.3. He wants to hit 30 miles per hour because he knows that pack is going to come flying on to jump back onto the group. Maybe able to work together and support the team still out there today after he does get picked up by the pack.
Yeah, there's a lot of intricacies to getting lapped in a Criterium, but out here in the Zwift world, well, hey, we watched 2 teams finish together in the team time trial yesterday, so anything can happen at times out here. But it's the wild, wild world of Zwift. There's no doubt there's things that you will see out here that you don't see in real life racing. But to be honest, at the end of the day, we sort it out and we will find a worthy winner, Nathan. And that's part I wanted to add for folks watching. If you're curious about our riders, our field, go to ZwiftPower.com. You can find everybody in the field. They're all, Nathan, to make it short and sweet, these guys are all validated as racers. We're looking at their heart rate. We're looking at, we're kind of authenticating their efforts. We don't need to go into super huge details, but we have some real data on these guys that let us know that they don't have their brother on the bike for them for a little while, right?
Yeah, so real quick on that, as far as how the sport is developing, there is obviously the Zada and high, almost like what is starting to develop as the World Tour direct invite alongside with Zwift, and now there's a couple of other levels that I see developing below, just a little ways below that, in the same way that you would see in the world of cycling when you go from regional, state, and then next thing you know, with the federations, pro domestic, pro Conti, and then moving on beyond that into the UCI World Tour teams, etc. So I think that there is the race organizers, like what we're seeing with Project Echelon, are showing up now and saying, look, we want to start putting things on that are at that tier that these racers are racing at in real life, and start replicating what we already see in those tiers. So there's an obvious aim and an obvious way that somebody can come up and aim through the sport to rank up and get to that top end of this esports. So that's essentially what we do see going on here amongst this crowd now. And Eric Hill and the guys at Project Echelon, as a community organized event here, are doing an amazing job. They had a whole bunch of verifications going on in the background as all the riders did sign up, actually.
It was a lot of work, and I know you played a big role in that too, Nathan, and thanks. And you're right, Eric really stepped up. All of the riders out here enjoying this race should make sure to send him a note saying thank you. Nathan, I wanted to shout out Indoor Specialist as well, a guy you've raced with for many years, Matt Brandt, doing a really good job, and I really like Timmy Bauer as well. I read his story and how he's just been trying to get into Redlands, and I think this was the year that he's cracking the code on the in real life Redlands. So having Timmy out here with his great attitude, he's a guy that really shows you what the Zwift community is all about. So nice job out there by the Indoor Specialist team. We work with them a lot on other events. There's a lot of racing going on out there on Zwift right now, and we would love to have all these racers and everybody come out and join us.
On your right, Bashard Hall says, on your right. Is this an actual move? He saw, so what that is, he saw that there was lapped riders, that they were going to come through, and he actually knew that the riders that saw the lapped riders coming through were going to use it as an advantage, as an extra piece of landscape to jump over the top of them. And if anybody got stuck amongst those lapped riders, look how it strung it out there. So a little bit of an in-game knowledge there, that if you're coming through lapped riders, you can hide and attack. And that's exactly what's happened. Look at this train now. It's completely stretched out. Will the elastic snap? Are we going to see another break at about the halfway point in this race?
Wouter Zwart, I love this guy. The Arizona-based Landis Trek team, actually talking about Quinn Simmons, he was a stage winner on that team at the in real life Redlands last year. Look at the damage that he's doing. Multiple splits back through that field. It is strung out like a runway model out there right now. This is brutal, Nathan. What a ride from Zwart here. Boy, this guy has done extensive damage. It's going to be interesting to see what our inventory shows us. Yeah, there you go. There's riders getting their tickets punched all over Payne City right now.
Yeah, look at this. And we do see it looks like Ebby here from Landis here moving backwards. Actually a lapped rider here, so he's got his second time off the back here now. This is obviously crazy. 33, 32 miles per hour, steady here, 360 watts just to hang on right now here. And as we do see, it looks like Lutz now up into 322 now as he comes on through. P. Davis is there as well. Fuller Factory team is here now with Fried making his way back. And this is the snap. If you do not get on right now, Arana needs to make a move. Modded as well. If they do not grab Modded, but an 8 watts per kilogram, saying, bring me back to the pack, trying to find those meters. And just like you have on your Saturday morning ride when the group starts going away, that is the biggest amount of, that's the longest amount of landscape you've ever looked at. That little bit of meters that you need to close down, and it's said and done there. Not coming back 30 miles per hour on the uphill. And I think anybody who's on the front can see the snap that's happening. It is going to take full advantage, and it is going to be Saris Pros Closet on the front now, taking over to make sure this advantage does not go to waste.
Well, I agree. Compounding with interest, as you would say, Nathan. This is an outstanding effort by a team that is extremely savvy. Lance has made this move, too. Lance Hayden up there. Super talent. Very, very dangerous rider. Nathan, they're going to take this group and have it, I would say, here. If they can continue to go up and over the top, it might settle down just a little bit here right now.
Fair now. No, he's going. Look at this.
Well, so yeah, but you can see how strong these guys are, too. They won't play around with a guy like Eder. He's got a great reputation as a super strong rider, again, from Mexico, but races in the United States all year long, moving over to the Legion team. Legion is covering everything that goes up the road. They clearly are on a mission right now, middle part of the race. So, Nathan, we really have moved into what I'd call what's going to be the most intense 15 miles of racing these guys are going to see this spring.
Yeah, I did see Corey Williams now making his way to the front down that. It seems that he's actually done his
Now he's
homework
the guy
here.
to beat, Nathan. So Corey Williams, in my mind, and I mean, obviously, I like to make bold statements, and that's part of doing this job. I think is trying to highlight the riders to watch. Corey Williams, he's on form. He's the California State champion. He's a San Dimas stage race winner. That was one of a very special day of racing in his career in Southern California, where his entire family came up and watched him close out just a sensational ride there in San Dimas, and just a huge talent that I would say, he is expecting to win this race. And he's got a team around him that is going to help him do that. And anything less than a win is going to be a big disappointment. And that's the way the Williams brothers roll. And I love it. Corey Williams is well known for the YouTube videos that he's been putting out for years. And it shows you how much courage it takes to race in the peloton, especially Southern California crit racing. It's a whole other level for those guys down there. I guess Florida deserves some credit for that kind of insane fun. Tyler Williams moving up now as well. He's been all over the front of the Spikers. But Nathan, I want your evaluation here. This is a small group of riders left. I think that we probably are looking at maybe 30 riders in the field here. Actually, let's see. Is that 30?
Yeah, we could look at zwiftpower.com to get an exact, but I would say probably about 35. But, the reality is here, I don't usually see these kind of splits this early on this course, which tells me that they have been organized. They've been precise. It's almost been surgical, actually, the way that some of these riders have been riding this, which really amazes me, actually. Usually you see the in real life pros come in and they seem totally out of their element. They seem like fish out of water. And that is not the situation right here. I'm seeing sharks here and they know how to strike. And it looks like, just a moment ago, Corey Williams, the way that he descended through there and drafted right through the pack, it looked like he knew exactly how to use the draft through here. I even saw some super tucks coming through some of the most difficult places to get into a super tuck. For those of you who don't know, you're new to Zwift racing on a negative 3% gradient. In real life, the same way that you could get into a tuck position, well, Zwift gives you that ability to do that. Negative 3% gradient over 35 miles per hour will give you a super tuck at 0 watts. You have to time it perfectly, just like a controller, and in the way that you would play the game, but it is a way that you can do an in real life cycling move by being good at knowing the game and how to time things. And I saw a few riders doing that through those little bumps where there's only seconds to get it. It was pretty amazing to watch, and it looks like these are the riders that have done their homework, though, that's for sure. We do see some riders coming back, though. There's a lot of effort on the back end. It's going to be a lot of matches burned, but some of them are starting to crawl their way back slowly as things get back to Grupo Compacto after those fireworks that went off.
What's the highest level of Zwift rider that you can be, Nathan? Is it 45? Is that
50?
Is that
level 50?
Okay. One of the Williams brothers, not Justin, but Corey's other brother, is there. He rides more Zwift than anyone I've ever met. I think that he lost something like 60, 80 pounds on Zwift. He's really a great story. The Williams brothers are incredible. And he's going to, I think, Cali Dub, look him up on Instagram. Absolutely awesome family. So they're from Belize, is their dad and mom. And they've gone down there and won some big races in Belize. And it's an American, USA cycling success story, to say the least, when you talk about the Legion team and the Williams brothers, and always remembering that this team has some real depth. But Nathan, as we come through now, I mean, if you've been watching up in the top left here, we've been watching speeds. It has never really gone below 24 miles an hour. Well, there you see 23, but that's going to be the lowest. And then we pick it up, and they've been holding on to 34, 35 miles back on this downtown Dolphin circuit. These guys are absolutely flying. The total distance for the race is going to be just under 30
it's about 30 miles. About
today.
30 miles. I'm looking at 30.4, I believe, at the 40. Yeah, 49K. Yeah. So that's going to be the distance on the day. It's amazing here, and we're seeing Pack of 31 on ZP. Thanks a lot, Try Guy, for bringing that in on the comments over on YouTube. We're seeing Benjamin Lyons say, get it here. Adam Boyko saying, we have been racing with Corey and Team Legion in the El Dorado Crit Tuesday evenings. Awesome. Good to hear. That's pretty cool to hear where they're getting their experience with Zwifting.
Yeah, so they're
cool.
disciples of Rasan Bahati, who's a colleague of ours at Zwift. Rasan has been working at Zwift for years, and that Eldo series is a Tuesday night race that they would have done dozens and dozens of times with Rasan. And now Rasan has taken over management of that race. And I believe that there's a Tuesday night Zwift edition. So, it's just really cool. This is a family out here, a community on Zwift for sure. Now, this is the very high end. This is the pointy part of the spear. Nathan, when we look at racing at this level. What these guys doing, as a matter of fact, these speeds, I've been doing with you a lot of racing over the last couple of months, and this is really the most organized, effective. This is pro racing at its best right now out here on Zwift. Certainly, I had high expectations for today, and this is going over the top of what I was hoping for. So thank you to all the racers out here. You guys really are the gladiators of the road. And Nathan, I'm going to make you a promise. We're going to find a worthy winner when this one is done and dusted.
Well, the pace that they're setting, they're definitely putting on a show. Sometimes out on these courses, you get Grupo Compacto, a lot of what we call on the mountain bike here in Wisconsin, hand holding. And it's like, what are you guys holding hands? What's going on here? And somebody's got to go drive the pace.
Yeah.
So
I hear you. That kind of bogs down a little bit because there's not so much ambition. And that's really what you're seeing out here, Nathan, is these guys are making the race over and over. And remember, Legion hasn't even gone into their arsenal yet. Right? I mean, they still have Rivard. Rivard is a long-range threat. I would expect to see that you are going to see these crazy solo attacks that are going to be very dangerous in this last 5 miles of racing. And again, 30 total miles. So we're almost 2/3 of the way through this Donnybrook here on the downtown Dolphin course. And again, Nathan, if you've enjoyed the first half of this race, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, we are seeing a little bit of attack here coming from Freyr now from Legion. Now, as you guys can see, we're starting to get a little bit familiar with the kits that have been assigned. So just so everybody knows, a lot of these teams do not have kits in game as of yet because a lot of teams are going to be newer to the world of Zwift. It takes a lot of time to get a kit into the game. But because of that, what a great job by Eric Hill and Project Echelon that they put the organization together to assign specific kits in the game to these teams. And so a lot of these teams, as you can see here, Legion, they're running this blue and white Technicolor kit a little bit here then, and then you can see you obviously see the pros closet with indoor specialist kit coming on through, but you'll start to recognize the teams that have riders that have made the group here. You can see the tax kit coming through, and then I believe that may be Landis. I'm not positive. We'll have to double check here. As we go through, we'll try and get an idea on what kits are going with which teams. I do believe we might be able to bring up the sheet on that and get everybody an idea.
Nathan, I think that all 4 Wildlife Generation riders have made this move here. That's going to be Sam Boardman, Kent Ross, and our man Cormac McGeough, the Irish phenomenon out of Durango. Taking a look now, this is a good opportunity again to do that, take some inventory. You can see that Tyler Williams has done a lot of the work out here for Legion up to this point. He and Etta Freire have both been very active, but what we've noticed is Corey Williams has been comfortably sitting in this group. Yeah, Wildlife Generation has done a good job here as well. And Nathan, let's start. So Wouter Zwart, I don't know if you find a better name for a bike racer than Wouter Zwart, is right in there. Hey, our man Timmy Bauer has the Landis Trek rider hanging in there. That is really nice to see. I know how much this meant to him. So more of the guys on the Volley Factory team look like they've made this selection, Nathan. So no real surprises right now when you look around. I think all of the heavy hitters, I'm looking for Brendan Rim is the rider that I was expecting a lot of. I haven't seen his name come across on the Chirons here for a little while. I'll be looking for him. I would expect, though, Nathan, he's in this group. I would be pretty stunned if he wasn't.
Yeah, but a lot of times, there is the reality that you could get caught out.
Hide.
The most savvy riders sometimes will get caught out, regardless of the power. It almost sometimes has to be superhuman to come back to a break that happens in any of these situations with the kind of speeds that they travel along at. We are seeing.
Oh, sorry, Nathan. I was going to say, once you get dropped out here, it's very rare that you see riders rejoin, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very rare. The kind of efforts that have to be put out, because once you are dropped, you've already gone into the red, and at that point, it's almost nearly impossible to recover. And these guys are sitting in and just kind of relaxing mid-pack, and are able to just kind of cruise to the front, and the pace just continues to go up as the peloton continues to roll the speed on top of each other, snowballing that effect toward the front end of the group.
Yeah, and you probably didn't get dropped because you were kicking ass either. You know what I mean? Usually there's a reason why you're at the back of the group and gaps are opening up, and it wasn't because you were on the best day of your life. So, but then that's what, that's a reality of racing, especially when they're as aggressive as they are. These guys did not mess around. We're just coming up on 20 miles, so that'll be officially 2/3 of the way in. Nathan will be watching for, help us set up the finish here if you win. Nathan has more experience than anyone will ever meet being out here in the world of Zwift. So Nathan, it's always nice to reconnoiter, and these guys have been, but would you help me in the final 200, or even bring me home from 500 meters to go when the guys hit that point, so we can really kind of take a look at the landscape around and see for some of the indicators. I know a lot of sprinters will use something like a flag post or a storefront or something like that to know where 200 or 250 or 150 are.
Yeah, and so in this course, a lot of times you start to see a lot of action about 2 laps to go, actually. It's such a short course, and so what you start to see is people start to take flyers, because those that don't want to have a sprint situation, or teams that are trying to soften up the other teams, they'll start sending riders off the front. Maybe even with how many riders that have made some of these teams here, and how organized and how well-versed in racing some of these teams are, we might even see some moves with 3 laps to go. At that 2, a couple might be getting away, but they'll trust most likely that it'll come back on the little rollers on the way back down. And at 1 lap to go, maybe 1 flyer off the front. That'll get caught a lot of times. You'll see somebody really give a go, though, over this KOM, most likely into us. They'll put all their chips on the table, though. It'll most likely be about a 12, 13 watt per kilogram kick over the top of the KOM and then try to hold. If the pack watches, I've seen it succeed once, maybe. We saw Gavin Dempster in one of the classics just a few, and we are seeing a move here. And this is what we're talking about. If they just let this go, not sure it's going to stick, but we did see Gavin Dempster almost make it happen in the classics a few weeks back, but then was caught at the line, because this section right here, the amount of speed, and you're seeing it right here, the amount of speed that's built from the pack, from these little bumps right here, is just so incredibly difficult to try and hold off. And he was caught with literally like 50 meters to the line here. Right here is where people will pop the power-ups. This is where the sprint will most likely open up for those who are going to win. If you go too late here, this turnaround 180 actually slows you down just a tad. You can find yourself out of position, and if you are not sprinting long before that turnaround, you are already out of the race. So the sprint actually begins about, I would say, 50 meters or maybe even 100 meters before that 180 turn.
And that arch there is a significant part of this race.
Yep, there's the finish line. Exactly.
That was the finish line. Exactly. So I have people asking. So yeah, that was the finish that they just went through. So that was a nice run in there. Good look at it. So Nathan, out here now, when you take a look, the teams are going to start trying to organize. Really, when you look at these watts per kilo numbers, right now it's actually about as calm as I've seen it so far in this last 40 minutes of racing. Actually, this is the final reprieve I think they're going to give each other before they really go for the jugular one more time. This is, Nathan, I'm surprised to even see that they backed off at all. But and 4.4 watts per kilo for average mortal human is a lot of power to be making. But this is the neighborhood that these guys live in. They can do that for hours at end, but it's when they spike, when you start seeing those numbers go red, Nathan, that means it's on. No doubt. And you're going to see that happen here. But you got to remember, if you want it, we're starting to see it. Toronto Hustle starting to do exactly, living up to their name as they're trying to position themselves in the pack. They can feel it's coming now. But Nathan, there will be an explosion. The big moment of this race, it might not be a final sprint. It could be a solo rider winning here. It is not impossible. It's just really, really hard to win with a solo move. Or a small
very,
breakaway.
Very difficult. I have a feeling that Project Echelon here is sending us off the front to try and instigate something. Maybe, if one gets away and you can get a couple to come with you from some of the teams, great. But I think this is mainly to make some of the other teams work. The pack is starting to get small enough that this will put some damage into the legs. It will put some hurt in the legs and tire some of the other teams out if they're actually forced to work. 6.0 watts per kilogram. We're seeing Hated there from Legion now. Williams there as well from Legion now, making their way to the front in the blue and white kit, as you can see. And it looks like now Echelon actually working their way to the front. Is this going to be a launch here from the other Project Echelon rider in the light blue and black? No, calming right on down. I think they're still going to be waiting for quite a while here, Dave, before we see any real moves.
Yeah, and Nathan, if we're going to be armchair director sportives here, I'm going to tell the other teams, let Legion do the work. Don't help them, because they've got so many strong guys on that squad. You certainly don't want to be pitching in for Legion right now. Let them bring these things back. That's sort of the point of these attacks for some of the teams that are looking to upset the apple cart, the Doylestown Bike Works, the Project Echelons, the Landis Treks. They're going up. I mean, the Hincapie team is a really big team. I mean, the winner of this race last year was Noah Granigan. It was a beautiful win for Noah, but he is now on the Hincapie team, but he's not here. They only have 3 riders, Sam Yanish, Simon Jones, and then the aforementioned Brendan Rim, the Bose champion, who's one of the guys that I was saying is a big danger man, but I haven't seen out racing a lot, but I have seen him out racing on Zwift, Nathan. He's not a novice, so we continue to monitor this front group as they're not all that far from what you would call the last act out here for stage 1 of the America's greatest stage race. It's so cool to see Redlands figuring out a way, as they've been racing at Redlands since 1985, right after the Los Angeles Olympics. And some of the greatest names, Chris Horner, Davis Finney, Ron Kiefel. The list goes on and on of riders who have won at Redlands. And we'll see who's going to be our first ever virtual winner as we watch Wouter Zwart. Again, such a strong ride from Wouter today.
Wouter now off the front now, 8 watts per kilogram. Will he get a little bit of a gap? It looks like Landis Trek. This is an organized move. 2 Landis Trek riders here. There is a slipstream here, it looks like, for his teammate out of Canada, Fraser Morin now, as he holds on to the wheel. Now coming across, it looks like shutting things down. Cyrus TPC there with the pros closet. Maybe trying to just get involved here. It looks like Williams now trying to cover. Tyler Williams there from Legion now trying to get across. This may be a 4-man break. The speeds are going to be very high. They're going to have to hold 6 to 7 watts per kilogram to make this happen. And that's exactly what Zwart is doing. It seems he knows what kind of speeds you got to hold. They got to work together though here. Landis is doing it here. You can see they are doing a very good job. They've got some other teammates involved. And here's the thing. Project Echelon knows this might be a move here as they try to come across. And you can see that the pros closet is backing off at this point, trying to maybe slow the speed. And you can control the speed of the peloton if you go to the front slowly and do not bring any extra speed to that draft. And that is exactly what's going on. They've got a 1-second gap here. And if the pack slows down and does not chase this, look at Dawson here. Team Skyline not interested, saying go ahead. I don't care. I'm at 184. I'm not closing that down. Somebody else do the work. Are they motivated enough? That's going to be the question, because I think they've got the power. They've got a 1 second. Egan now, it looks like here, trying to get across as well. This may be a situation with 5 riders. There's enough horsepower here, but they've got to stay committed.
Yeah, and it's so clear when you watch those watts per kilo, Nathan, and you can see who's participating, who's doing the work. As you said, if these guys, well, yeah, that's it. It's going to get shut down because they needed to keep it over 7 watts per kilo with all 5 guys pitching in, or else this happens, and they make the catch, and we hit the reset button here late in the race. So, again, we're working
counter move. I think a counter move would be so smart at this point.
If you can, Nathan. The problem is a lot of these guys are going to be feeling pretty ragged right about now. This was an absolutely brutal. Yeah, I mean, yeah, look at these heart rates. Look at what's happening here physiologically for these guys. I mean, these guys are now going to be, the sweat will be pouring out of their bodies. There will literally be a puddle underneath them after just 45 minutes of racing. They now are starting to overheat. They all use fans wherever they're racing, but it's certainly a real challenge now. The races on Zwift are not long because they are so intense, and this is the tempest in the teapot that we've got going on right now. So we're just going to be right now hitting about 6 miles to go, Nathan. So it's going to give or take a few hundred yards. It's about 15 minutes until this one is put paid. Again, Cormac McGee, we have seen him make some very brave solo attacks. They've come up just a little bit short.
At elevation, Nathan, at that, Dave. At elevation.
Wow. Good point, Nathan. Great point.
183 beats per minute, 411 watts. It's only 1 second, though. It's not going to be quite enough. He needed a couple bodies to go with him through this roller coaster to try and bring that speed up, and it looks like it's going to back off down now to 31 miles per hour. This pack is going to come through at 35 as you see the speed come up, and it's not just about watts. You do see some frustration a lot of times with people who are unfamiliar with how much like real life in some ways Zwift is. Zwift does have its own physics that are not exactly like real life, but there is a reality that it's not just about the watts. You have to use the watts to produce speed at the right times in the right sections of the course. And as you can see there, we did see off the front there, 31 miles per hour, same watts, 35 from the group, and there's a reason for that. They were using each other. They were moving through the pack in certain sorts of way to create that snowball effect that does come through from a group that's working well together, or at least putting the watts on the front to hang on.
Kevin Bouchard Hall's hanging in there. Nathan. That's good to see. Kevin Bouchard Hall, I'm going to guess, is, what do you think, 40 plus? Right in that neighborhood. Anyways, I'm going to say he's one of the older riders in this field, but again,
he's a dirt
super
rider.
savvy.
Doesn't ride for the dirt team, but he's a dad inside riding trainer is what's going on here. And he says, and in his recent video with Ted King riding Zwift, teaching Ted how to ride Zwift, he was saying that this is the way that he races now, that he can get his bike racing, get his workout in, and do it from home, still be a dad, still hang out, and yet, sneak away for an hour, not have to have all the setup, not to have all of the craziness that goes on with trying to get a bike ride in, still enjoys the outdoor ride, but he says this is the main way that he's able to still be an athlete too and get a cool experience in getting a race in against his buddies. So, and he's definitely one of the most experienced. He's been in the classics, he's been in a lot of the Zwift productions, and now obviously in and amongst the Pro Conti race here on Redlands, and it definitely deserves it. Watch out for him to be in the top 10, top 5 even at the end of this day.
Agreed. Nathan, there's other riders out here like Tyler Williams, who if some of these guys, there's 10 guys, Sam Boardman, who really represented himself so well at the Tour of California coming from the Wildlife Generation team, but guys like that who are just a break or two away from riding in the Tour de France in their career. Right? I mean, this is a world-class field that we've got out here tonight. And
some who even said, I've seen interviews even from Legion with some who've even said, like, look, I didn't want to go. I wanted to do something else like that. That it was like racing European and that whole. That's a whole nother level of commitment, and you give up a big chunk of your life and a big time in your life to do that, and you can do other things while racing Pro Conti besides only traveling the entire world, UCI world. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother level of commitment. And so I think there's a best of both worlds for some of these athletes in some way where they can race at the highest level in North America, be a talent that could compete at that world tour, but at the same time have a life otherwise, which is kind of a cool balance that some of these athletes do have.
I agree. And, there's events like Tulsa Tough out there. There's a season. You can barnstorm your way around America and go to some incredible cities and incredible events like Redlands, California. The Redlands Gila, like right now, Gila would be moving into their Criterium day for tomorrow. And Redlands and Gila are back-to-back now on the schedule. And, this is the two most important weeks of stage racing in North America happen now. I guess Tour of Utah, which has already acknowledged that it won't be happening this year, another COVID-19 affected event. But, this 2 weeks for the American domestic stage racer, this is it. This is everything. This is where Corey Lockwood made his name. Corey was a national champion already as an elite amateur, but winning at Redlands, that was such a huge, huge ride that final day on the Sunset Loop. Redlands has some amazing courses, Ukaipa, the communities, not just Redlands, but today we're in a virtual Redlands. And Nathan, we are locked and loaded. Guys, this is not a drill. There's our race organizer, Eric Hill, who did so much work to make this happen. Thank you, Eric. Super, super cool to be able to have this experience. And Nathan, it has been awesome racing out here. It is now time for the Donnybrook we've got coming our way. They're 26.4 miles into what's a 30-mile race here. And Nathan, these are the men that have made this move. We're sitting with about 31 riders, we believe, in this group. So watch now, because this is the run into the finish line. It's going to get more and more important as we start to tighten the vise.
Yeah, Tyler Williams now off the front here. It does look like Cyrus, the pros closet, now making a move in order to shut things down. Look at how much control is going on here with this team. The orange and light blue. Watch out for them. Over the top now. It looks like to get on Rivard's wheel. Actually, this is a move because Rivard's being lapped and Freyr's going across. And we're seeing Legion with a couple of riders here trying to maybe make something happen now. And look at how it's stringing out behind here. Even if this stays together with a few riders that are able to grab on, the elastic is snapping on the back for those who are really suffering. And if you know this course, what it feels like to try and jump back on if the speeds are too high here, it is so much suffering. Around this corner right here, if anybody kicks, I could definitely see this being a situation where this snaps it right off the back here. Will it happen? Is the motivation, is the power even there? Is the ability? 3 laps to go. 3 laps to go out here, everybody, in this Redlands Classic Crit.
And they're holding on, Nathan. I don't think they could hear you. They couldn't do it. Sometimes you'll have the director yelling in your ear, go, 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 kill it. And you're like, I can't. I am at my limit. My heart is in my throat. These guys are getting close to this point. So these are the men that have made this move. Your winners in the group, right? Well, actually, this is two groups that we're looking at here. Now, Nathan, this is where it gets to be the wild, wild west of racing out here on the downtown Dolphin circuit. 27.2 miles in, so we're really just about 2.5 miles from the finish line now. This is where
Lapped riders, Freyer's being smart.
Group.
8 watts per kilogram. This is where he can sneak by, and they're getting caught up. Will he be able to hold on? It looks like Caribou's going across there, TPC, and it looks like he's going to shut it down, but there may be a few getting caught up in those lapped riders here. They're going fast enough, too, that this could be a serious moment, especially going into the KOM, because this will be a section where you've got to put out a whole lot of extra, and match efforts with the graph does not matter nearly as much.
Yeah, watching out for Adam Carr. I think he's up in this group, the Skyline Racer. They're punching above their weight out here. Good job by Team Skyline as well as Nathan. Yeah, that was an interesting moment there as they went right through that a second group there like a hot knife through butter. This is the Vanguard, the Tête de la Course here as we pick up Greg, another Project Echelon rider. I saw that, let's see. And he's going to make a run at it. I mean, we're right in that window, Nathan, where a serious attack, I don't know that one rider can do it now, but again, getting any kind of leash at all is a really big ask. These guys are going to keep it up at 5 watts per kilo now, I would think at this point. They just don't. They're relentless. They're absolutely relentless. And it looks like Legion is, take a look, Nathan, looks like Legion is starting to organize on the front for the other teams. That's going to have the alarm bells ringing. Now, red alert. Here we go, gentlemen. It's the finale.
There's been no reprieve, and look at the back of this pack here. People are starting to drop like flies. Gardner's barely hanging on. This is one of the riders I'd be watching out for in a sprint, but no, it looks like it's going to be, these riders here, Fitzgerald there, off the back, Duddle as well. They're just hanging on here. It's mixed in with a bunch of riders who are 1 lap, 2 laps down. It's mayhem. Nobody knows even who's where, what, or why now in some respects. 2 to go, everybody. 2 to go. Let's start here in the chat. Who's going to take the win down? We're going to be into the bell lap in just a moment. Out in here in the Redlands Classic Crit now. Larson's toward the front for TPC. The Pros Clark Cyrus now. Project Echelon taking over. Will it be Legion? They've been so active. They've started to play it smart those last couple of laps here. We've seen the Pros Closet Cyrus really cover every single move, but there's been some quiet teams that have not stuck their nose in the wind here. Will there be a dark horse we haven't watched so far take that wild card at the end, Dave?
Nathan, I see people commenting, boy, I'd like to see it over 5 or 6 watts per kilo. It's like, well, what you're watching is real racing. This is Zwift power. These are real numbers. And I tell you what, this has been brutal. And here we go. Doylestown Bike Works is going to representing really, really well. We're sitting with Corey Williams right now. Tyler Williams, his teammate up there. But up on the front, Nathan, we do have a rider taking a flyer here. It's going to come up on 1 lap to go very quickly. There's the Rio Grande team out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Nice to see them up in the mix. So they're punching above their weight too. Nathan, we're going to find out who wants it more. Who's this rider off the front? Is this Williams?
We're looking at Corey Williams right now. There was one rider off the front. It looks like it was a Project Echelon rider who did give it a go there with 2 to go. Zimmer, it looks like. Project Echelon, actually. 7 watts per kilogram coming from him, but he gets shut down on the climb. Is Egan here from it. Cyrus, the Pros Closet, now to the front, controlling the race. I think, who are they working for is my question here, because they have shut down every move with confidence. Not trying to get in the move, though. That's the thing. There's someone they're working for here.
Well, and I mean, again, all indicators point to Corey Williams as being the man to beat here. I'll stick by that all the way up to the last 50 meters. He is that good.
Does he know the timing? That's going to be my question.
Yes, he does.
Does he know the timing on this course?
Remember how I was talking about his brother with his insane experience? I mean, he's no Nathan Guerra, but he's spent, he's a level 47 Zwifter. That's somebody who's spent hundreds and hundreds of hours Zwifting. And the Williams brothers are savvy dudes. Corey knows exactly what he's doing. He has pushed the envelope with technology using that GoPro camera. Just before we had the COVID lockdown, Corey was on the podium with his brother Justin, who's not racing, current national champion, but Corey is the current California champion, and Tyler Williams as well, their teammate, not their brother. We've talked about that earlier.
One to go. Bell lap, ding, ding. Here we go, people. And when's it going to light up? Everybody's calming right on down. This is the calm before the storm. We're in the eye of the hurricane right now, I think, and I think it's about to wind up in just a moment.
I love seeing some of our teams that, Legion is a monster squad. There's no question. How about Skyline with Adam Carr hanging right in there, or the Rio Grande boys? I mean, it's just awesome to see. This is what in real life racing at Redlands is like. There's always going to be somebody who comes out of the woodwork at that event. Last year we got to witness the coming of age of Quinn Simmons. It is where legends are born. Who's going to be our virtual legend being born tonight? Is it going to be Corey Williams? Can someone upset the apple cart? In order to do that, you're going to have to beat the mighty, mighty Legion of LA team. We have squared this one up.
Now we do have, it looks like, Carr now to Tyler Williams now making it with the front. Is there going to be a lead-out train? Corey now sitting perfectly, it looks like, just in that. Look at how savvy he is. Second wheel, but he's sticking his nose in the wheel. But look at all the Legion riders making the way to the front. Now we've got the pros closet going to the front as well. It's going to be Zwart there off the front, though. Landis Trek 7.2. He's going to get eaten up so quickly, though. He does not have the power as they come screaming, barreling down into this final 500-600 meters.
Yeah, perfect call, Nathan. Thank you so much. So let's bring you down to 400 meters through this rolling section. And this is where they're going to clamp down on the front. But Legion's got a new problem. We've got another rider attacking off the front. It's old school Fury here in downtown Redlands, California. But they've covered that one. Nathan, they should be down to 200 meters to go. The sprint
Holden Camus.
Holden
Camus. He's taking it. Looks like Cyrus TPC are going to come to the line. And no, Corey Williams gets the upset there over him. Holden takes it. It looks like Saris Pros Closet. What a move by Saris the Pros Closet with their new sponsor on the day. Showing down Corey Williams, it looks like, for second. We'll take a look at the replay, but what a move by Holden. And there's a reason why he took down that U.S. National Championships kit in the world of Zwift. And what a ride there coming from that man.
Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't he the #1 ranked Zwift rider right now? When you
the
look
ranks
at Zwift
change
power?
up day to day, but yes, he has been ranked #1 for quite a while. So what a move there by him. What a move here.
Let's the guy who knows the game, knows what Nathan was talking about, the ebb and the flow. He used these guys. This was textbook Zwift knowledge coming through, and I can only imagine that Corey Williams is shaking his head. That was one heck of a finale. Nathan, thank you. That was exactly what we needed. Everybody out there, I hope you really enjoyed stage 1 of the 2020 virtual Redlands Classic.
Look at that move here. We're looking at the replay real quickly here. Let's go in reverse.
That's
real quick
Holden.
and see exactly where Holden made this move. And you can see, I want to talk real quickly here about the strategy, though, that played out as we get a little bit of a reverse here. And we can take a look. A lot of people go at the sidewalk crossing there, but really watch where Holden actually goes on the move here. You can look, the orange numbers start popping here. Davis is off the front, and you can already see from about, it looks like 6th or 7th wheel, there's where Gardner is. Corey Williams is there as well. Where's Bashard Hall? Bashard Hall's sitting about 5th wheel. Holden Camus around the corner. Look how he extends his lead around the corner there. He had already started way back building that speed, the 44 miles per hour. Bam, there it is. Corey Williams, it looks like, coming through. It seems to be, in second place. Holding down, it looks like Larson, followed up by Tyler Williams. What the move there, though, now that's interesting to see. It's going to be indoor, not indoor specialist, but the Saris TPC alongside the boys there with Legion for those top spots. Let's take a look as we watch Holden cool down. 142 heart rate. Let's take a look at the results. Holden Camille actually there coming on through there, and it's 58.30. First place, Corey Williams there with a 58.31, just behind him, about 0.3 tenths of a second. Ryan Larson there right on his heels. It's less than, it looks like, 3/100ths of a second. Tyler Williams there for 4th, it looks like. Kevin Bashard Hall coming on in for 5th. Matt Gardner then following it up there, 6th place. Cormac McGill there, Wildlife Generation, for 7th. It's going to be Alex Fraser Moran there coming through out of Canada for 8th. Zach Gregg, Project Echelon, and then Eat Freyer there coming on through for Legion for 10th place. Wow.
That's how you do it.
Never before seen.
Holden, because Nathan, we talked at the beginning of the show about the Saris, the Pros Closet team, brand new team, something really cool that's happening out there in the esports world, and Holden gets them some great publicity here. Solid win. There's a really nice article that was written about him that you can find online as well, kind of talking about where he's coming from. So you know what, Nathan? Score 1 for the Zwifters.
Yeah, Zwifters take it down there, obviously having the experience. But, I think That was really well played, though. I thought Legion might have been able to take it down. I do think it came down. I think that Corey had the power, and it had more to do with the way that Holden used the speed through the second bump. He came off that second bump, and if you take that downhill with the start of your sprint, it gives you that extra 1 or 2 miles per hour to come over the top of everybody else and get a gap on them. I think Corey, he might have opened it up on the flatter section, which then you have to have more of a burst of speed in order to even get up to speed, where Holden carried speed through, I think, on a sprint, and that's actually what got him the win, I believe.
Yeah, I agree, Nathan. That experience really paid off. We're not done. Another race coming up on Sunday, so follow along out there on social media, and you'll be able to see. Next stage is going to be a road race this time, using some different features out there in the world of Zwift. But this was awesome. I really enjoyed the experience.
Amazing. Real quickly, I know we got a ton of new viewers out there. I know we were over on Velo News. Obviously, we've been we're cross posting at a couple other places. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. We will be live tomorrow with the Yana Initiative. It's a charity initiative, actually, with another Pro-Am race. You can check that out tomorrow morning throughout the rest of the day. Actually, it's a whole long gaming day, but Zwift is going to be featured at yana.gg. You can check that out definitely over at Facebook Gaming. Then we'll be live on Sunday as well with the virtual Redlands Classic Road Race. We're going to be out in London for that. It's going to be a long day of racing. It's going to be a lot of fun to have a second stage of this. So make sure to tune in over there, everybody. I'm Nathan Garrett, Zwift Community Live. Dave Toole alongside of me hosting you here in this race today. Thanks a lot to everybody for tuning in. Great job to all the pros out there. It was great to commentate on them. Very exciting start of what we're doing here. And as always, everybody, ride on.